I'm already recording. Welcome to another fabulous day of our 30 Days Wild Challenge. I'm here in Marbella in Spain again, a little bit like Laura. Thank you so much for doing a wonderful day 5. Seems like you truly were bananas on that one. And you can see, just looking over here, the Mediterranean Sea. So sets the scene for you. We've got the Mediterranean Sea over here, Morocco is in the distance, and just behind us we have got the normal human settlement areas. So we've got the towns and places like Algeria on our right over here. So if you're not familiar with Spain, this is exactly what you've got here. We're standing here on the coast looking out the wonderful sea and learning about some of the wildlife. And I've got, of course, with me my trusty dog Ching, following in Ben and also Emily's footsteps in introducing an animal to the 30 Days Wild Challenge. I think she's thoroughly enjoying herself. Maybe. So we're going to be introducing you to some of wonderful Spanish wildlife. There's loads of it. Did you know you could find brown bears here? You can find critically endangered monk seals here. You can also find Iberian lynx, which is the most endangered cat species in the world. So you can find loads of really rare and wonderful wildlife here. And you can find other wildlife as well that's equally as important. So things like beetles, invertebrates, spiny lizards you find here, and loads more. But what we're going to concentrate now is, instead of the wonderful sea life or some of the animals that live a bit further inland of Spain, what we're going to be talking about is some of the animals that perhaps don't get noticed as much. And those are some of the animals and also wildlife that is to my right here. So just here, you'll be able to see something known as a sand dune. Now I'm sure you'll probably be familiar with the sand dune, but in case you're not, let me enlighten you. Sand dunes, they're really, really important to our ecosystem. And what happens, how they're created, is that the sea, so just behind you here, the sea will push in the sand to the beach, and then it will be lifted up by the wind, and also gravity will then push it over towards the sand dunes behind us here. So it would create these mountains of sand when it hits the native flora and fauna you can see here, and create these mountains or mini mountains of sand. Then when it storms, the sand will be pushed back down, and in many ways it will recycle into the sea. So this is really, really handy and helps protect us humans as well as loads of animals that call it home as well. So when it hits the sea again, it will create sandbars, again a really important habitat, so a home for wildlife, and also a place for eating too. So really, really important that. So just behind us here we've got one of these sand dunes in question. I've also got somebody watching me right now, so this is quite interesting. So in the sand dunes there, you'll be able to find all sorts of different species of animal that will call it home. So you've got things like the spiny lizards. You'll also find things like the European hedgehog. We'll call it home. We all love hedgehogs. European goldfinch, chaffinch as well. All these birds and also other native wildlife will spend their time in these dunes, eating from the local flora and fauna, and also living there as well. So it needs to be, therefore, this environment that's kept nice and safe for those animals, and also for the plant species too. So there's lots of invasive species that have caused this problem. So one of those things is that you'll notice in this area there are a few broken up bits of dunes, and actually this is all human claws. And Marbella, it's been particularly bad because we've had a huge property boom here, so you have lots of people that want to come and call this area their home, and quite rightly as well, because it's absolutely stunning. But unfortunately it means you've got all this rubble and brick, and also places like restaurants over there, all these different areas that are causing a lot of upset to the dunes that you can see behind us. And I'll talk more about that you can just see. I'm sure you're as disgusted as I am to see that just behind me here. And that is a big problem for these wonderful animals and wildlife in general. And as well as that, this invasive species is sometimes planted intentionally and sometimes by accident, and that's causing suffocation of some of the native species of plants that live here too, and then it's not able to support the area that we can see here, so the areas like the dunes, and then it ends up disappearing. So apparently every single year about 1 metre of dune disappears, so it recedes by 1 metre every single year, which is crazy. Now here in Spain it's particularly prudent, this information, because only very recently, we're really lucky, we've got a really good team of conservationists on hand who have been working to protect the sand dunes here. So some volunteers have been watering the plants regularly and trying to make sure that they keep healthy so that they can support the ecosystem that's so important to this part of Spain on the coastal regions. And it's done really, really well so far, so it's gone absolutely huge compared to what it was but it's a slow process and something that can only keep getting better if it's down to us humans. So we'll keep walking. Actually, before we do that, we'll stay in this area because there's something particularly poignant to point out. Now you're probably wondering, okay, well now I know about sand dunes. They seem pretty cool, but how do I protect them when I'm at home? Okay, you can't really do much when you're at home. Maybe you could support someone that is, but you can do stuff when you're on holiday. So we all know no cars before Marbs, certain programs making Marbella really, really popular. And also we've all been to areas near seaside towns and stuff like that. Or maybe you have, maybe you haven't. If you do in the future, maybe what you can do is you can avoid going into the sand dunes unless there's allocated paths for you to go around. Because with just 10 steps, we can actually destroy a huge amount of the wildlife there. What we can also do is leave no trace, and this makes me particularly angry, as it probably does you at home as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk over here and have a look at some examples of humans who have not done this. And trapped in the sediment there, you can actually see evidence of humans who have brought rubbish and things like that to litter to the coastal region here, and they've left it behind, and that's caused a huge problem and is now trapped in that sediment that you can see. And obviously that causes loads of problems for wildlife. If it, for example, eats anything with that plastic in it, it can cause huge problems. Also, plastic doesn't break down properly. It breaks down after about 450 years into something known as microplastics. That enters our seas, it enters the stomachs of animals that we eat, and it also just enters the stomachs of animals in general, and that should be enough of a reason. The fact that it's suffocating wildlife in many ways. So what we can do is leave no trace. We can make sure that we don't use as much plastic as we do. Apparently at the moment we use about 300 million tonnes of plastic per year, and that's about the same weight as every adult human on the planet. So that's absolutely loads, and we can protect against things like sand dune degradation by making sure we bring our plastic back with us when we're finished. Now I can see my mum's hands are shaking as she's holding the camera, so thank you very much, Mum, for filming this today. But it does mean I think we're going to come towards the end of our 30 Days World Challenge for today anyway, but there's still loads more days to go, so keep an eye out online, follow our progress, and I'll catch you next time. I've got my wonderful Tinkerbell here, and we're both going to say goodbye to you for now and welcome you to Emily's 30 Days World Challenge tomorrow. So see you soon. Emily, I can't wait to see what you have in store. We're going to leave you with the wonderful coastline here.